Well, the title of this video lesson is that Sly was right. For those of you new to the game, Sly refers to Joel Sylvester, one of the most talented young backgammon players we've ever had. He's not quite so young anymore, and he doesn't play very much anymore. But when he did play, he was way ahead of his time. And I was fortunate enough to have Joe visit with me and live with me for several months, about 20-some years ago. And that was when I first learned what a great teacher I was, because while he was with me, he taught me a lot of backgammon, and in return I taught him gin rummy. He is now a fabulous gin rummy player, and I'm just a mediocre backgammon player, so that proves I'm a much better teacher than he is. But he was way ahead of his time. Many of the things that he taught me, many of the principles and many of the ideas were counter to what the then bots were saying. And back then we had Snowy. Jellyfish was also pretty good, and those were the two best bots. And GNU was just coming on the scene, I believe, back then. And the bots were saying one thing, and Joe was saying another. And Joe says, I don't care what the bots say. They're wrong. When you're playing human beings, you should do it this way. And one of his major principles was that if you are behind in the score, at most scores, not all scores, but if you're behind in the score, you should be playing as if you're at gammon save. And if you're ahead in the score, you should be playing as if you're at gammon go. And the bots did not agree with him. For example, here's a score of 4 away, 3 away. Blue is winning 2-1 in a match to 5. So blue is leading, he's 3 away, and red is trailing, he's 4 away. And the bots would say that with a 4-1 on an opening roll, and with all your plays, you would basically play pretty much the same as you would play at what we call normal match score or unlimited or money games, and you would split with the 1, with the 4-1. You wouldn't play like gammon go, where it says you would slot with the 4. You bring the 4 down and slot. Slide said, I don't care what the computer said. Well, the latest version and the latest rollouts of Extreme Gammon now agree with Sly. At this score, it has now become right to slot. Didn't used to be. And the computers have caught up with Sly. You should be playing more aggressively at this score. And if you hit the G button, which stands for gammon go, when you're behind in the match, 2 away, 1 away, Crawford, which is pure gammon go, that's how you play a 4-1, same way. So it agrees, and it's the same thing for every other roll that on the opening rolls. If you are at gammon save, you of course would play the 4-1 by splitting with the back checkers with a 4-1. And the same thing applies to all the other rolls. If you are ahead in the match with a 6-4, you just run. And the same thing is true if you are losing 4 away, 3 away. It's also true when you're losing 5 away, 3 away, 5 away, 2 away, 4 away, 2 away. Of course, we knew you play like gammon go and gammon save. The bots knew that before. And also at 3 away, 2 away. At all those scores, if you're winning or losing, you play all of your opening plays and your early game play, your checker play, not your cube action, but your checker play, just like gammon go and gammon save. Of course, there is no cube action at pure gammon go and gammon save, except when you're at 2 away, 4 away, and you play like that. So again, if you are behind here, you play aggressively. For example, with a 4-3, you bring 2 down, just like you're at gammon go. If you were the leader, but blue on roll, you would split with a 4-3, just like gammon save. It applies to all the rolls. If you roll a 6-4, you just run if you're the leader. And if you're the trailer, you make the 2-point. So, we have, if you look at Sly's matches, many of which were recorded years and years ago, you will see that he was playing at a very high level according to the current bots. Now, I'm not about to tell you that back then, 20, 25 years ago, they were playing as well as our top players today, because they didn't have the benefit of the bots. They had a lot of things that they didn't know that we know today. I was taught with an opening 5-3 to bring 2 down, and I was taught that by the top players in the game. And of course, if you have an opening 5-3 at any normal score, at any score, it's huge to make the 3-point. That's just one example of how the game has changed. There's lots of ways it's changed, and I won't get into all of them. But Sly knew better. And we miss you, Sly. Come back and play. Every now and then he does come back and play, and he often wins when he plays. He's got a very incredibly high winning percentage over the last several years in the few times that he's played. So he hasn't lost it. And we miss a lot of the great players who are still around. We miss Knack Ballard. And we miss Francois and many of the others who have gone over to poker. Leverman, Grandel. A lot of great players that are not playing today that could certainly challenge the best players we have today. But let's not forget Sly. And I have a special affection for Sly because he helped me personally with my game. And I have been listening to Sly. I've been doing his plays even though the bots were telling me it's wrong. But also hats off to Extreme Gammon for continuing to sharpen the pencil, for continuing to do rollouts, for continuing to find ways to improve the software. And we all owe Xavier a big thanks as well. And also, the USBGF is personally beholden to Xavier for offering a discount to our members. If you don't have Extreme Gammon, you really need to get it. Thank you for watching, and thanks again for your support of the USBGF. Phil Simborg, goodbye.